Good morning, folks. My name is Katie Carter. I'm the emergency response meteorologist with the National Weather Service. Thanks for being on this Saturday morning for a briefing. We did originally schedule another one of these for tomorrow at 10 a.m., but given the pretty significant changes to the forecast and less anticipated impacts, at least for central and especially southeastern Virginia, we are going to opt to cancel tomorrow's and then just resume with our normal 10 a.m. briefings that we do every Monday. Now, this has been a unique 2 weeks because we've had back-to-back snowstorms where we've added a lot of these extra calls, and we will do that leading up to a weather event, not just a snowstorm, but if it's hurricane season, any time we have leading up, we will add these. But the only standing briefings that we have scheduled are Mondays at 10 a.m. So we'll resume those Monday and then add accordingly if there's anything else that comes up. And I said this a few minutes before we started to the folks who were on a little bit early, but I do apologize this morning for not getting the email out with the slides. I usually do that before we have this so that you can review things if you'd like to before we start. But we've had such significant changes to the forecast that the National Weather Service offices are all, have to collaborate across the state, and it takes a little bit of time. So we've been doing a lot of scrambling, trying to catch up this morning to get you those updates. So I just sent it out. It should be in your inbox right now. But I wanted to start off visually just showing you some of the VDOT cameras out in the western part of the state because they saw their snow starting around this time yesterday, but really starting to kick up in the late afternoon and evening hours. And, they were expected to get a pretty decent amount of snow out that way as well. And they did. So their forecast pretty much verified it did pretty well, but the evolution of it is that it eventually looks like it's tracking a little bit further south than we were anticipating. And we know with a coastal system like this, we were always saying that the most uncertainty is going to be on the northern edge of that storm, wherever it tracks. And it ended up tracking a little bit further south. So we have much less snow totals on the northern edge and even less in portions of southern Virginia, as we'll get to. But you can see definitely some snow-covered roads. It seems like all of the main roads, interstate-wise, from what we are getting reports of, are looking pretty good. It's just some slick spots in some of our other locations, but they are going to get additional snow out that way. And before I actually get to that, I'm also going to show you, so that was a peek out the window, but this is where we're at radar-wise. So you can see a whole lot of snow still in Southwest Virginia, and it's really just beginning to enter here in the central Virginia and not even quite there in Southeast Virginia. So it's going to take a while before the storm arrives in other parts of the state. And I typically like to kind of end with this, but because it's happening right now, this is a shorter resolution model that shows a better sense of how things have evolved from what we were looking at just a few days ago and to how things are really panning out now that the storm is here. So we'll see a lot of, there's a huge gap in the precipitation that has developed overnight. And that is where we're going to be seeing the lack of appreciable snowfall for our southern locations, at least a lot of them. So this is one of the model's guesses at 1 o'clock this afternoon. So still going pretty strong in Southwest Virginia. They're going to be seeing at least a few locations out that way, a few additional inches today, as we will see represented on our snowfall map. But I want you to keep an eye on that hole because it looked like it was going to be a pretty decent snowstorm for a good part of today, but you'll notice that there's just not much happening for a good part of the state. And then it's not even until late this afternoon and evening that we really start to see, and it's just far southeast Virginia, Hampton roads, really cranking with the snow. So we are still expecting a pretty hefty amount, specifically in Chesapeake, Virginia Beach proper, but outside of that, the farther northwest you go, it is not looking like much for the rest of us. And it ends overnight. Definitely by the time that we are waking up tomorrow morning, it'll all be gone. And then we'll be dealing with all of the other factors in the wake of the storm. Now, although snowfall amounts have changed pretty significantly, we have not seen a change in the amount of, or the wind gusts that we're looking at, or the coastal flooding concerns. So those still remain. It is still a very powerful coastal storm, So we'll get the effects on the back end. It just shifted a little bit further south. So one big change that you'll notice is that we have backed off some of our winter storm warnings, particularly in south central and southeastern Virginia. So we took out a few of the counties that were in that winter storm warning, and they're now into the advisory criteria. Extreme cold warnings and cold weather advisories, those remain for the cold anticipated tonight. And all of our coastal flood watches, or at least I should say the watches, are now warnings, but we also have some coastal flood advisories as well. I'm going to skip that slide, but this just goes over in greater detail what we are expecting. The winter storm warning is still in effect for Northampton County on the eastern shore. This is today's expected snowfall. So this does not take into account the snow that has already fallen in Southwest Virginia yesterday. This is in addition to. So you will note, especially out west, a lot of pockets of 3 to 4, even 4 to 6. And then there's one bullseye all the way out there in Dickinson and Buchanan counties that is going to get walloped. They're really seeing a decent amount of snowfall. So that was kind of a surprise too, although, you know, some of us dropped our snowfall amounts, others are hanging on longer than we expected. So it's going to be a heavy snowmaker, especially out that way. But the city of Richmond down to the Petersburg Tri-Cities, even to Farmville, Nottoway County, stretching back to just about Roanoke, that is in the 0 to 1, so a trace to maybe an inch. And then just south of the Petersburg Tri-Cities, southern Dinwiddie County, this also goes into Sussex County and Surrey, as well as York and James City. Back to Roanoke, that is in the 1 to 2 inch band. And then it pretty quickly increases for southeastern Virginia. So our Southampton, Isle of Wight counties, 2 to 3 inches. And then Virginia Beach proper, still 6 to 8 inches expected. So we definitely still have some high totals that we'll see. And because of our strong gusty winds, brief whiteout conditions are still possible due to the blowing and drifting of snow. When we have wind gusts of 50 miles an hour and that light powdery stuff, it is just going to be all over the place, especially after sunset. We'll be seeing a lot of that snow just getting blown all around. So definitely not great driving conditions. We're urging folks to, during the height of the storm, really stay off the roads. Our timing for the storm has not changed. So it's now moving into central and eastern Virginia. The height of our storm for this part of the state is going to be this afternoon through our evening hours, and then tapering off around or soon after midnight and gone by the time we are waking up tomorrow morning. There may be a few lingering flurries, but our accumulating snowfall will be gone before sunrise. Our temperatures throughout this going to be exceptionally cold, just as we have been talking about for quite some time, but finally cracking above freezing tomorrow, Monday afternoon, and then we'll start to see some snow melt. This also has not changed, as I mentioned, the end time of things. So it will end this evening in southwestern Virginia, later tonight for areas west of 95, and then after midnight through, I would say, 3, 4 a.m. for areas east of 95. The extreme cold warnings and cold weather advisories remain in effect tonight through tomorrow. Wind chills for those under the extreme cold warnings in the dark blue could be feeling as low as 10 to 15 below in the mountains, and 0 to -10 elsewhere. And this just shows you the map if you want to refer to it in the slides to kind of get a better sense of location. But definitely the I-81 corridor will be the coldest tonight and early tomorrow morning, no doubt about it. The wind's going to be strongest right along the immediate coastline in the eastern shore. So you see that color there. Those are the high wind warnings. Winds are going to be 30 to 40 miles an hour, but gusting up to 60. And then a little bit further inland, winds out of the north are at 20 to 30 miles per hour. And those are sustained winds, gusts up to 50 miles per hour. And that, again, is just your showing visually where that is. But I wanted to show you sort of the time frame here because things start to ramp up wind-wise this afternoon, and it will be at the height of our winds after midnight through about noon tomorrow, and then slowly tapering off. It's still going to be a little bit breezy tomorrow, or excuse me, I keep saying that like it's Sunday today, Monday, but we will start to see improvements in the winds come Monday. But tomorrow, Sunday, is by far the strongest day of winds. And those, because of that, north winds coming down the bay, we still have concerns for coastal flooding. So the lower Chesapeake Bay, even up the James River, the York River, and the Atlantic coast, we have concerns here. Inundation still expected to be 1 up to 3 feet above ground level, right along the immediate coastline, low-lying areas of the shoreline. That's when we'll see the high tide tomorrow morning and tomorrow evening of our greatest concern. Most of the areas under the coastal flood warning will be seeing moderate flooding, although specifically Lynnhaven Inlet, just due to the geography of where it is here and those winds coming from the north out of the bay, that will be forecasted to be major flood stage, and that's with tomorrow morning's high tide cycle. And then this, I just wanted to focus on the left, the max temperature, because starting Monday afternoon, we will be above freezing, and we really stay there. Excluding overnight lows, we're still going to drop below freezing overnight, but we will be seeing daytime melting every single day of the week ahead. So we'll gradually see improvements. But that being said, if we see a pretty significant amount of ice melt or even snow melt for those who see the heavy snow, if we have any standing water left on the roads, on the decks, steps, sidewalks, that kind of thing, it is going to refreeze every single night. So we will see some refreeze concerns and that cycle continuing, but we will chip away at all of that really hard packed ice that we got with the last storm. That is what I have pending any questions, but good news for us for much of the state. And we are, again, not going to be hosting our 10 a.m. live tomorrow, but look for any additional updates as they are necessary. I'll hang on for questions. I don't see any right now, but otherwise, thank you for joining, everyone.